Yo, 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 what's up, guys? It's Josh, and I'm making a recording just because I don't have a ton of memory left on my camera, but it's 4 a.m. Actually, it's 4:15 a.m., and I'm sitting in my car, and I just wanted to talk to you guys, wanted to hang out with you guys for a little bit, and kind of give you some really good value and some good information just in general that you guys could probably use in your own lives. I know a lot of people suffer from this. Actually, something that's really interesting, just to kind of go on a side note, a little side rant really quick. Did you guys know that 70% of Americans, 70% report to have depression? 70% of Americans have depression. Now, think about that for a second. First of all, you have to think about how rare it is to even be a human being. So this is kind of where I'm going to kind of reframe the whole issue of depression in like 5 minutes and kind of change your guys' perspective on it. Because I've been through depression. I've had tons of anxiety. I used to do tons of drugs to actually block my thinking so that I wouldn't be so depressed, or so that I could deal with my depression for short periods of time and then actually having to wake up and deal with depression the next day, right? So I'm essentially, what it kind of reminds me of is like when you have a mess in the kitchen, and instead of cleaning up the mess, you actually just put the mess onto the kitchen table. And then you say, look, the kitchen's clean, but now you have a dirty table. So, I don't know if that was a really good analogy, but it kind of shows you got the point, right? So basically, instead of actually solving the problem, I was taking drugs. Okay. So to get back to my point, 70% of people in America suffer from depression, or at least report from it. And to kind of reframe this whole depression issue, I go back to how rare it is to even be a human being. The probability of you existing as a person on this earth is extremely rare, and it's almost a miracle. It's almost a miracle that we exist. If you're listening to this, it is literally a miracle that you're alive. It's the probability of actually being a human being is about 1 in 400 trillion. Okay, so it's extremely rare that you exist. Okay, so first of all, the fact that we're alive is incredible. And second of all, if you live in America or a first world country, 50% of people who exist today on Earth can't actually even access this call, or can't access this recording, because they don't even have internet yet. So if you live in a first world country, not only do you exist as a human being, as the most superior species on this earth, where we have grocery stores, where we don't have to, hunt for food anymore or anything like that, so existing as a human, and then on top of that, to take it a step further, you're living in a first world country where, you have basically, tons of freedom compared to most human beings on this earth. Most human beings don't even make $1 per day, right? And if you're listening to this in your car, or maybe you're listening to this on your laptop or your iPhone or your device, that would completely blow the mind of somebody else in this world, right? It's that almost deletes your depression right away. Just to not focus on the depression, but to reframe the depression into actually realizing how incredibly astounding it is that not only do you exist, but you were put onto this earth into an extremely safe, extremely really well-off situation, which you were born into. It wasn't like, I don't know everybody's situation, obviously, but for let's just say me. I was born, first of all, okay, and then I was born in America. So I am literally in the best situation possible, but 70% of Americans, and 70%, that's literally 7 out of 10 people, only 3 out of 10 people, have this realization. They understand how incredible it is to not only exist, but to live in America, where you have an abundance of many, many things that we take for granted that people on this same earth would be extremely thankful for. Okay, so first of all, if you're depressed, just think about that. Think about how extremely rare it is to even be here. Okay, and then you kind of realize, you're like, oh, okay, I actually beat the odds. So the fact that I'm here is incredible. And then what it's about is giving yourself a purpose. Since you're really rare to exist, now you need to use this opportunity of you being a human being to actually go and create something really cool. Okay, so first of all, depression is all in the mind. It's not an actual thing. It's not an actual tangible thing. It's not like a lot of people will give me I have a imbalance in my brain. I have a chemical imbalance, so I have to take drugs. Well, that's true. I mean, there's people who do have to do that. There are certain actual physical, biological properties in people where you get, neurological imbalances where the neurochemicals in your brain aren't firing off properly, and you need drugs to correct that. That's different. Okay, I'm talking about people who, for example, a big one is divorce. People who go through divorce and get depressed and go in this huge slump. I know a few of my friends who's, either their dads and in some cases people my own age who actually go through divorce, and then they go through this slump. And then they start buying cars and they start, buying all this stuff that they don't actually need to kind of fill a void, and that's kind of what they classify as depression. Other times you have people who are lonely. Or other times you have people who don't feel like they're going anywhere in life, and they kind of watch everybody around them doing all this stuff, and then they're like, what am I doing, right? So first of all, you have to realize that depression is only existing between your ears. It's in your brain, okay? It's not an actual thing. So the reason why that's good is because that means you could change it. One thing that I really stress to people a lot, and this doesn't have too much to do with depression, but more about in life in general, right? When it comes to problems and difficult situations, you can only really get frustrated at the things that you can control. The things that you can't control, like, your sister took your car when you were sleeping and then crashed it. And then you make it this whole big deal when in reality you didn't have control of that situation. So therefore it's not really productive to be upset about it, okay? But if it's something that you can control, like if you were drinking and then driving and then totaled your car, well, that's a different situation because you were in control of that, and it just led to bad decision after bad decision, and then you got a bad result. So what I'm trying to say is with depression, 70% of people are experiencing it, right? So that means that 70% of people in America have a serious problem that is extremely fixable and is actually extremely easy to fix too. But the reason why a lot of people have depression and start reporting it and never seem to get it fixed, they'll go to therapy, they'll try, self-help books is a big one, and that's for a different podcast, but or a different recording, I should say. But it's all the same. It's all the same. Depression is just created inside your mind. And, I already listed a few of the most common reasons why people experience depression. But let me give you another one. That's even bigger. Probably tops all of the other ones that I listed so far. Social media. Social media is a really awesome thing that we have today. It's something that's super powerful. It's actually a tool, and I use it all the time as a tool, whereas a lot of people use it for pleasure and leisure. Well, here's the problem is you, as a person owning a profile on a social media page, you're essentially creating a personal brand. So anything that you post on social media is actually going to reflect on you as a person. So what that means is, are you going to start posting things that are going bad in your life? Or are you going to start posting things that are going great, like achievements, or like I just graduated, or I just got this new job, I just got married, all these really cool events that are happening in your life? You're going to post about those. You are never going to post about the bad things that happen, like, oh, I just got audited by the IRS. Oh, I just got divorced. Oh, all these different things that could have gone wrong in your life. That's the stuff you're hiding from people. So what happens with social media, especially since we're so glued to our phones today and all the attention is essentially on our phones, and social media is basically it's almost a human right at this point, I would argue. And what happens is people get this false perception of the people around them, that nothing bad happens in their lives and that people only have accomplishments, and that's it. So basically what that kind of does is make people act like, have this intention that they have to be perfect 100% of the time, which is completely false. And so, and this is especially big in like teenagers or, preteens or like high school students or college students even, so basically you got profiles like the Jenners or the Kardashians where they're posting only the good things that are happening in their lives and, the tens of millions of dollars that they're making every single year. And, we all have good days. We all have good moments. We all have really cool things that happen to us every single day. It's just if you notice them or not. But when you're looking at other people and you're looking at their social media pages, you're actually looking at this false perception of that person, which is almost like a flawless representation of a person. Okay? So I guess what I'm trying to say is that social media is a pretty big contributing factor to people's depression, just because what it can do a lot of times is make you put a lot of weight on your shoulders and pressure you into becoming the perfect person that everybody wants to see, rather than being the person that you want to be, for yourself. So yeah, that's basically all I got. But a couple of key takeaways, just kind of recap. First of all, just the fact that 70% of people who have literally the best situation possible in terms of being a human being are reporting to be depressed is crazy. Okay, and it's crazy because it's all based on the biggest thing I mentioned was the social media, obviously, but then basically the different standards of living. So if we went, if we flew out to like Africa tomorrow, some really, well, I'm not saying it's a rundown country, but there are a lot of places in Africa that are not very fun to be. Okay, so I mean, and I'm talking no clean water. I'm talking very little food, extreme poverty, violence. Women can't actually do a lot of things, stuff like that. So, there's a lot of things that we take for granted. and what you can actually do to kind of cure depression right away and to even cure anxiety and stuff like that, or any kind of cognitive dissonance that exists between your ears, is to go, instead of saying, finding everything that's wrong with yourself, is figuring out things that are just absolutely amazing about life. Like what I mentioned, the fact that being a human being is extremely rare. And once you realize that, you go, oh my God, that's super true. And then you have a whole new appreciation on life, right? So that's kind of what I started doing when I was in depression, and I was taking, tons of drugs to block my thinking, to slow down for a little bit and just to escape my own brain. My brain wasn't the problem. My brain was trying to tell me something. My brain was trying to say, you're not appreciating all the things that you're given. So I would argue that 70% of Americans have a blessing in disguise. And notice what I'm doing here. I'm reframing depression. I am literally giving you a whole new perspective on depression as being a good thing. It's a way for your brain to tell your soul and your heart that you're not appreciating what a great life you're living. I mean, think about, like, what are you doing right now? Are you listening to this on your phone? Are you listening to this on your computer? You know how incredible it is that you have a phone? You know how incredible it is that you're listening to this? That I'm recording this in my car at 4:30 in the morning, in the parking lot, and you guys, this is for the recording, but you guys are able to find me over the internet and listen to this and, instantly cure your depression because you have because you're really fortunate to be in that situation, So, and a lot of people aren't in that situation is what I'm trying to say. So, one really great way, if you're trying to cure your depression right now, first of all, just understand that it's a way that your brain is trying to signal to you that you need to appreciate things more. And one really cool thing that you can do is every day when you wake up, and this is what I started doing, which was a huge game changer for me, was to start writing down 3 things every single day. I would do something called a 5-minute journal, which, I think I have a video about that. And you guys can even download my template for that. I have a template for a 5-minute journal. You guys can do it every single day. You literally just print this and you just write it down. It's super easy. And I'll put that information somewhere so you guys can get it. But You wake up every single day, you do a 5-minute journal. And what this consists of is you write down, first of all, 3 things that you're thankful for. That could be the clothes that you're wearing. That could be that, you have eyes that can see things and you're not blind. There's people who exist that have extremely horrible disabilities. Just completely heart-wrenching disability. I had a friend who was huge in baseball. He was in 9th grade and he could almost pitch the baseball 90 miles an hour. That's almost unheard of. And then one day he actually got a bone disease, and so he wasn't able to play baseball anymore. And there's just people like that. That kind of stuff happens all the time. So what I'm trying to say is that, if you're healthy, if you're listening to this, even if you're alive, it's incredible. First of all, it's just incredible. You have to realize the fact that it is incredible that you're here, and it's incredible that you're listening to this. So just learn to appreciate life a little bit more and learn to appreciate different things. So first of all, you list off 3 things that you appreciate or are very thankful for. And then the second 3 things that you list down are 3 things that are going to make your day awesome if you complete them. So, basically for me, that would be like making $1,000 in affiliate commissions in one single day. Or I could be like, work out for an hour and a half. Makes your body feel good, makes you feel good, gets your juices flowing. Or you could do something like a task or a chore that you've been trying to get done, like pay off the 3 parking tickets that I have on my vehicle that I haven't paid yet. Something that gets you up and something that moves you forward. You know what I mean? So something that's going to progress you. And then the last thing is going to be a daily affirmation. And what that means is it's going to be like a little saying or like a little mantra. And it's something that you just kind of write down to remind your brain about, who you are or maybe even what you want to become. So for me, when I was depressed, I made my daily affirmation for the person that I knew I could become. And that was, I can't remember what I used to, the exact wording that I used, but it was something along the lines that I am a extremely great communicator that brings value to people's lives. Like something like that. I don't remember the exact wording, but it was something along those lines of the person that I wanted to become, because where I was depressed and doing a lot of drugs. And I knew that wasn't going to work. Okay, so I wanted to become somebody that was going to bring a lot of value to other people's lives, like doing these recordings that you guys can listen to. And, hopefully, if I help one person, my goal is to help at least one person to come to a realization and have a paradigm shift that depression is a good thing. Depression is a signal to show you what? To show you that you're not appreciating life the way you should be, and that you need to think about things differently, because the way that you are thinking about things is obviously not working, and that's why you're depressed. Like that's I'm just going to say it like that, because that's literally what it is. The only people who are depressed are the people who identify as being depressed people. And what that means is that if you say you're depressed, if you are part of those 70% of people that report that they are depressed, that's because you are identifying yourself. You are saying that you are a depressed person. And if you are to rethink that and think about yourself as, what I did is instead of saying I was a depressed person, I said I'm an excellent communicator that bring value to people's lives. And that is what I identified myself as. And instantly, my depression started to kind of subside. And I started to start acting and stepping into the actual body of somebody who did that, and not somebody who was depressed. So, first of all, rethink it. That's all you really have to do. Just because depression exists in the mind, first of all, it's not a real thing. And you can change it. You have the power to change it. You just have to do it. So, anyways, that's a good note to end on. Josh here, and I'm out.